Welcome back to day 19 of the Grinding It Up challenge, and we have reached a new bankroll peak. Awesome! I didn't really play too many sessions after yesterday's 25 NL shot video, so I have been a little bit lazy, I have to admit. I did play another 10 NL session this morning, but that was just as a coaching session for a student of mine, and it went quite well. I won 2 stacks, so I even put some more profit to add on my onto my regular table performance, and to boost the bankroll to a new peak, which right now is at 539.65. So we're above the $500 mark, meaning that we have around $140 to use as a shot bankroll for higher stakes. For today's video, I actually planned not to do a live session. I'm afraid today I've got some more questions from viewers, from followers that I wanted to get into, and it's some hand history review time because somebody also sent in some boom hands. In case you have any boom hands from the micro stakes that you want me to go over in those videos, that's perfectly fine. Just let me know. Send me the boom link. You can get me on Poker School Online, or if you're German, you can get me at IntelliPoker. You can post the link in the YouTube comment section. You can tweet the link. Use the hashtag grindingitup, as many people are currently doing, and I'll be happy to address any questions or boom hands that you send me. So we're going into some hands that were submitted by Lucky Win. So it's some session review time today. In that spot he was playing 10 NL and he had pocket queens, 3-bet a middle position open raiser. We're missing one player here. Small blind decided to cold call, and the open raiser called as well, and Lucky Win sees a 3-way flop here, flops an overpair, and bets out. I think that bet size is just too small, given that the pot size is so big and you're facing 2 opponents. There's a lot of hands that can give you action, like flush draws, straight draws, any pairs really. People can put you on ace king when you bet here, so you can definitely bet bigger. I would add $1, and that would definitely add some margin to your win rate in the long term. I mean, betting that small, it could potentially induce somebody else to raise with an inferior hand or with a draw. But to be honest, I think that this price is just too good for anyone to be calling, and nobody would be making a mistake calling that bet with like any pair that he flopped or any piece. So I really like to increase the value and the chances of your opponent making a mistake by betting bigger here. And this guy calls, which I find to be, given that he's so passive and just calls a 40-cent bet, I just find this to be a very weak play, and I would probably put him on a very weak range, or a very weak hand in that spot. Turn is a 4, which is an awesome card. Ked, I'm recording a video. Don't disturb. No. And the turn is a great card. It pairs the board and makes it less likely for the opponent to have us beat, unless he specifically slow plays kings or aces, and the opponent bets out. Since it's such a dry board, I think calling is mandatory. At least we could definitely contemplate raising here, but the stacks are also quite deep, so I actually think calling is fine, being in position, because in that case he could just be firing on a weaker hand and we keep those hands in the pot. And if we start raising it up here, we might get ourselves into a spot where we only get action from better hands like kings or aces, or flop turn boat with like pocket nines. Also, when we think about the hand range that the villain plays that way, when he flats preflop from out of position against a 3-bet, he might actually be quite pair heavy. So I definitely expect a lot of 10s or jacks, 9s, pocket 8s, pocket 7s to be in his range. Might of course also include aces or kings, but well, you know. River is a jack and he bets half pot again, and I think this is a mandatory call. Given the pot size, given the bet size, the odds are great. We're getting 1 to 3 on our money, so we only need to be good around 25% of the time. And since he could either be bluffing a busted draw, like a busted flush draw, busted straight draw, or he could play pocket 10s potentially like this. He could play a 9 like this. He could play like any pair like this and turn it into a bluff. We don't beat pocket jacks and pocket nines. We also don't beat aces or kings. But I think given the price, and since we just called on the turn, there is some room for our opponent to actually have a wider range in that spot. And I think that way, given the price, we just have to call here. And I think folding is a little bit of a mistake. I don't like the fold. But, well, that's just me. I mean, in case the guy had jacks, you know, you saved yourself some money there. But I definitely think that without looking at any results, I think you should have called. So that was hand number 1. Then we have another hand from Lucky Win at 2NL, where he decided to 3-bet an under the gun opener with ace king, which seems perfectly fine. And again, somebody flatted from the small blind. I think, yeah, those are quite tricky spots sometimes to play. And Lucky Win flops a gut shot with 2 overs on a coordinated 2-flush board, no suit, no diamond, and the guy bets out for about half pot, and Lucky Win goes ahead and ships it, which I'm a little bit surprised. I don't really like too much. I think donk bets might usually be quite weak plays, and people are usually donking with weaker ranges, but in that specific spot, in a 3-bet situation, when somebody flatted a 3-bet from out of position and he starts donking on this kind of board texture, I think it's just pretty obvious that he has some sort of hand. And I wouldn't necessarily try and bluff him off those hands. I think he's always going to call with all the flush draws, the combo draws in his range, like King Jack suited in diamonds, or Ace King in diamonds, or Ace Jack in diamonds, you know, those sorts of hands. I don't think he's folding a queen when he plays like that. So I'd really give him some credit for flat calling 20 cents from out of position from the blinds, and then donking on this kind of board. Also, Ace King, whenever we're facing action on a board like this, our equity, I'm not too happy about the equity that we have in the hand. I mean, we do have a gutter and we do have 2 overs, but we never know if those overs are going to be clean outs, because in case he has a flush draw, the jack of diamonds is tainted out, the ace and the king of diamonds are tainted outs. And it's just a very tricky spot, and we could get ourselves into a lot of trouble here when we continue. So I think shoving is not, I don't like shoving too much. I don't expect him to be folding, to be honest, as his line is quite strong. Especially on a board texture like this. I would probably utilize position, use the small bet size, and just call and see a turn, and then decide and reevaluate on any given turn card. Well, turns out guy calls. On that turn, if the guy would have bet again, I think we could have safely folded and gotten out of the hand. We river an ace against his queen jack, and we're good. So that's nice. And actually, you didn't make that big of a mistake, since you had, against that specific hand, you had at least a little bit of equity, and your overcard outs were clean. But, you know, I'm not too happy in general about this play. I'd be inclined to either fold or sometimes call the flop, but I think folding is also nice, as, you know, ace king might look good on a Broadway board like this, but it's just one of those boards where our equity with ace king, when we don't even have a diamond in our hand, is probably going to be pretty low on average. So, yeah, that was that. Hope I could help you with commenting on your play there, Mr. Lucky Win. Then we have some more questions that I wanted to get into in this video. Let's have a look. There were a lot of them. This is video number 17. I was just looking for number 18. Let's have a look. So there was a question from Tech Bob, and he asked, when taking shots, what's your opinion about sitting with an amount other than 100 big blinds, say around 50 big blinds or around 75 big blinds? There's certainly set mind math considerations, but aside from that, I'm not a big fan. And the reason for this is you're just cutting yourself short of a lot of opportunities to make money on a low variance approach. I was talking about this low variance approach when I'm taking shots, and I think that by decreasing your stack size when you're taking shots, you're actually doing quite the opposite. You're really trying to increase variance, because with a shorter stack, your options are limited. You have to be a little bit more aggressive pre-flop. You're probably going to want to 3-bet and 4-bet more with marginal hands. You have to play your pairs more aggressively, because otherwise you're just costing yourself the value that those hands have. with your stack size. And playing a shorter stack, I think, actually increases variance. And this is something I'm not really looking for when I'm taking a shot. So it might look like a good idea. And at first, I would say, well, if you want to just get used to the stakes and are not willing to invest too much money when you're on a shot, it's probably fine. But to be honest, I think you will actually just seriously increase your variance there, and that's just something that's not favorable when you're on a shot. So I'd much rather stay at the stakes below and buy in with a smaller amount, like buy in with 100 big blinds at that lower limit, than play with a shorter stack at the higher stakes. Because like by playing a little bit of a more conservative approach, flat calling hands like pocket pairs, trying to flop sets, those are the spots where you actually have where you're gonna be able to have or to get the money in with most equity, and play out the hands until the river, so you can actually reduce variance that way. So yeah, I'd definitely say that it's not a great idea. I don't like it. I would prefer to just use one buy-in if you like, and if you drop that, just like I did yesterday, if I had dropped that $25 in that first shot, I would have just gone back to 10NL and waited until I got another buy-in to spare for the next shot. Okay, so that was the question. Then I think we had also some Twitter followers. No, he actually sent me some bankroll management guidelines that he's using, and I found these to be a little bit conservative. He's looking at 100 buy-ins for Zoom play, which means for 25 and 50 cent, which is 50 NL, he'd require $5,500 bankroll. You know, those are some pretty conservative approaches. And I like conservative bankroll management, don't get me wrong, but I think it just depends on how serious you are about taking up poker, either as a profession or you're really trying to win money and live off your bankroll and take chunks out of your bankroll. Because if you have to take out chunks from your bankroll to pay rent or to pay some bills, then it's definitely the best to just be as conservative as possible. And I would say at least 100 buy-ins for each stakes. But at these micro stakes levels, like 25 NL, even 50 NL, I'm not sure if that's the best idea if you like playing just recreationally, or if you're just trying to run up a bankroll and to get to the next stakes. You're just pretty much cutting yourself short of an opportunity to move up quickly by taking a conservative approach. I can definitely understand there are some merits, also some psychological issues, that when you're playing on a conservative bankroll, you're feeling a little bit more secure about what you're feeling a little bit more safe from variance, you know. So to say a 10 or 20 buy-in downswing can't really do too much hurt to your bankroll. But I think as long as you don't have to take money out of your bankroll, there's no real need to take that much of a conservative approach, and especially not if you're just playing recreationally and if you're just trying to climb the ladder and move up through the stakes. Because I'd say that if I weren't to play professionally, I'd definitely climb that ladder and try and climb that ladder. And I'm definitely trying to do that with this challenge. So within this challenge, if I manage to reach 200 NL, and if I get beyond that, I might even move up to the higher stakes from there. So that's my plan. And I'm using a 40 stack bankroll management and just move up as soon as I am beyond that point, like 50 buy-ins. Then I'm using the 10 buy-ins that I can spare for a shot. And yeah, I definitely think that's very, very conservative. And it looks like a bankroll management that you'd probably use that if you were to live off your bankroll and pay bills from it and cash out on a regular basis. That's definitely something I could advise. It's very sound and very conservative and very good bankroll management. But I also think at the same time, you're probably costing yourself some opportunities there to move up a little bit quicker through the stakes. So that was a question from Aaron. Thank you for that. What else is there? I think, yeah, somebody asked me, in your definition, is a reg a good player and a recreational player a bad player, or is it more like reg this kind of play, recreational that kind of play? Yes, it's definitely the latter. Um, and you can never really discriminate against one or the other, because there are definitely some regulars that don't play that well, or that make a lot of mistakes. They're too tight, too loose, too aggressive, too passive, and there's definitely recreational players that can put you in a tough spot too, or that can actually play well, that have some good understanding of how poker works, or how they can extract profit, how they can bluff people off hands. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that somebody is bad. It's just, to mark somebody as a recreational player means, for me, it means I have to assume that this guy might be on a different level than a regular. Most regulars, they have some certain approaches to the game, and they play a certain style, like a tight aggressive style, or a nitty style, or a loose aggressive style, and you can pretty much categorize them and get to what they're thinking behind their action, might be at least much better than you can with a recreational player. And with recreational players, they could be thinking all sorts of stuff, and in the end, they could actually just be as good as a very good regular, and it just takes more time for you to get behind that. But on average, I think recreational players are going to be the ones who are going to be playing a style that's a little bit tougher to get behind. That's all I can say about this, and it's just resembling what I have been saying at the microstakes levels when I played like 2NL and 5NL. I can't really wrap my head around what recreational players are usually thinking when they play a hand, so I don't really bother, and just assume that I shouldn't be bluffing them too often, and I should be value betting them more often, because they're the ones who are more happy to call. So that's the only couple of assumptions that I'm taking with recreational players. All right, so let's have a final look at that nice and neat graph. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was helpful to some of you who posted questions or hands. I'm not going to be doing a video tomorrow. I'm going to be in a wedding, so I'm going to be taking my day off. I'm also going to be having my day off on Saturday and Sunday, so no video until next Monday, but I'll definitely be able to get in some more volume. Currently 41,000 hands, so I expect to be at about 45,000 after the weekend, maybe, if I get to play a little at least. And then I'm going to be able to make another video on Monday. So have a great weekend all, and keep grinding it up.